So we've talked about developing a strategy. Let's have a little bit of a think now about some of the tools, the services and applications which many children and young people are already using in their lives, and how you can be using those services to work with them. I want to say something from the get-go on this, that I will necessarily be talking about some brands, and in some cases some very big brands that you'll know all about. This isn't a personal endorsement, it's just that at the moment, if I were to talk about search, it would be kind of weird not to talk about Google, but you know, things move on. I've been in the technology industry now long enough to remember brands that many of you will have either forgotten or never heard of. But I just want to make that clear. I'm just talking about brands that at the moment are probably at the forefront in a particular area. So what I'm going to look at is two specific areas with regard to online tools and kids' use of them. One is what I'd like to call music discovery, and I think you might see that as part of the wider learning agenda. And then I'm going to look at tools for self-publishing, which I think in many ways fits with your agenda around progression. So let's talk a little bit about music discovery. You know, the first thing I want to say about this is I think this is a time of, you know, extraordinary riches being available to people. I mean, later on I will be talking about some of the genuine challenges that I think technology throws up for all of us involved in music generally, and very specifically in music education. But I want to be really clear about things. This is an unbelievably exciting time with material available to all of us, which was previously unthinkable. And I wanted to throw in a little bit of a personal anecdote about this. I mean, a bugbear of mine really for most of my adult and in life, and probably most of my youth, is that certainly for much of it, I read about far more music than I ever heard. Not just read about it in school textbooks, but, you know, like many men of my generation, you know, I grew up with a vibrant music press that we read absolutely avidly. And sure, you know, we had great radio that we could tune into when we had the time, and if we were lucky, we'd catch stuff that we knew, and if we're even luckier, we'd catch stuff we didn't know, but that was great. And that's been part of music discovery, you know, for my entire life. But to be clear, we still read about more music than we ever heard. That paradigm has just changed forever now. And the three sort of strange personal examples I wanted to give you here, it's the 3 M's. There's 3 things that I was really completely fascinated with as I'll admit, slightly odd teenager. One was the French composer Messiaen, one was Miles Davis, and lastly, and I did say I was a very strange teenager, it's the Mixolydian mode, which you'll all be familiar with, of course, but the mode most favoured by Frank Zappa, who was also a teenage idol of mine. I had very, very few ways of finding out about anything about Miles or Messiaen, or for that matter the Mixolydian mode, beyond my local library in Preston, Lancashire, as it happened, which did have a fantastic record library, but still small. And while there were huge benefits to having to be quite as dogged in finding information out as one had to be back in the late 70s and early 80s, the downsides were that some stuff could simply not be found out. And the thing I'd like to put in your mind with regard to Messiaen is that as many of you will know, he's very famous for transcribing birdsong and turning it into music. Now that has been a fact that has been with me since I studied music seriously in my mid-teens. But it's only ever been a fact, and it remained a stale thing that I knew alongside what the capital of Uganda is, until about 5 years ago when I discovered a clip of Messiaen online imitating bird calls and then showing us how they became, in his hands, music. Now I have to say that I'm not sure I was any clearer at the end of this about what was going on in Messiaen's head, and I'm not sure any of us are, but the point is something turned from a fact described in words by journalists or historians into sound, which is after all what music is. So as we step through some of these examples when I'm talking about music discovery now, I do want you to bear in mind that We're in a world now where children and young people can, like that, hear what you're talking about. And I think that has changed everything.